Hello students of class 8. Today we are going to do the second chapter in your Bliss book. That's there in your first unit syllabus, that is standing upon your problems. So in this we will see how Ram Prasad, a boy who had some problems with learning, okay, due to some disorder, and that is dyslexia. And dyslexia means disorder of the brain, means which does not allow one to read in a normal way like normal children. Okay, they have certain difficulties, and through treatment it can be overcome. So we see that how Ram Prasad had overcome his problems and and ultimately he became a very confident person. Ram Prasad was nervous as he sat waiting in the hospital room, unsure of what Dr. Chandra, the pioneer of diagnosing development dyslexia, was telling his parents about the test results. It had all begun when they had moved to Mumbai from the small town Azamgarh. He was in 6th grade, and soon it was clear to everyone, along with himself, that he was far behind in reading. His teacher, Mrs. Nisha Pandey, said his reading comprehension and ability to pronounce words was at a much lower level than other 6th graders. He was scared every time. So the story begins with a scene in a hospital, okay, where Ram Prasad is waiting outside the doctor's chamber, and the doctor is inside his room discussing with his parents about his problem. And he is a Dr. Chandra. He is a very well-known doctor, and he is a pioneer. Pioneer means one who is the first to do something in a particular area or in a particular field. So he was the first doctor who had come up with this problem of dyslexia. So development dyslexia. Now how it came to light that Ram Prasad had some problems. Ram Prasad and his family used to live in a town Azamgarh, but when they shifted or moved to Mumbai, then he was put in a school there, and there he was put in 6th grade. But his teacher, Nisha Pandey, she brought the matter before his parents, and saying that Ram Prasad had difficulty in reading. He could not read properly, and his ability to pronounce words, that is, he could not read properly, he could not pronounce words properly, whereas other children could do it. So he had this problem was first brought out by his teacher, Mrs. Nisha Pandey. Now what happened is, she called on him to read aloud, and whenever he was asked to read, he became very scared. She called on him to read aloud because although he tried his hardest, she would always have to help him with the words. So without the help of the teacher, Ram Prasad was unable to pronounce the words properly. Mrs. Pandey suggested that Ram Prasad should be tested for dyslexia. So see, the teacher not only pointed out at the difficulty of the child, but the teacher was very sure of the type of problem that Ram Prasad was suffering from. The teacher did not just say that Ram Prasad he's a below average child, and just saying all negative things about him. But the teacher, it shows the teacher's concern towards Ram Prasad, that he was able to, means she was able to understand, what was the problem with Ram Prasad. At first, Ram Prasad was confused about why he was being tested. He had been all the honors. He had been in all the honors classes at the public school he had attended earlier. The test made Ram Prasad feel uncomfortable, and he was scared to answer the questions in fear of facing failures. So, when he was in the school of the town school, he had attended all the classes. He means nobody had pointed this out to him that he had a problem, and when it was when he was being tested, he was too scared and he couldn't answer properly because he thought that he would fail. The test results showed that he had development dyslexia. So the test result, he was being tested because the teacher wanted that Ram Prasad should overcome his problem, and she had complete faith in him. But Ram Prasad, being very young, he got scared, and he did not speak well in that way, because he thought that he would, means because of the fear of failure, he thought that he would fail. The test results showed that he had development dyslexia. At first, Ram Prasad felt discouraged by the diagnosis, but eventually he became determined to master his disability. He took tuitions and speech therapy. He even tried to conquer the disability himself. So when the test results first came out, Ram Prasad was very nervous, and he didn't know what to do. But then he thought that there was he gathered that inner strength in himself, and he became very determined, and he said that no, I will not allow this disability of mine to hamper my progress in life. Okay, it should not be a stumbling block, or it should not be a roadblock for my for succeeding in life. And with this determination, he took whatever treatment was being done in a very positive way. That is, he took tuitions and speech therapy. Not only that, he also made his own effort to overcome this disability. He would read difficult books, hoping to increase the confidence he had in himself. He began to read and comprehend the readings better. He even began to love reading, which was kind of ironic, since he had once detested it. Detested means hated it. So Ram Prasad, not only he became very determined, he also put in his own effort to overcome his disability. And what was that? He started reading difficult books. He knew that maybe he won't understand everything, but he didn't give up. He read it and he read it again. And gradually what happened, reading became a reading became a habit with him. And not only a habit, but he started loving reading. Okay, he loved to read at that time. See, he began to love reading, and it was kind of ironic. Ironic, why? Because this same Ram Prasad whenever he would ask to read in class, he would be very much afraid of it. He would be very much fearful of it. But with his own determination and his own strength of mind, he was able to master even the difficult words, the difficult meanings, everything. Now, not only with Ram Prasad, if you also try to sometimes you find the comprehension passages in your Friday afternoon book a little difficult, but don't read it once. If you go on reading it at least twice to thrice, then you will find that those words which you were having difficulty in understanding at the first instance, by reading it over and over again, you could gather the meaning from the context. Ram Prasad had finally overcome his learning disability. Dr. Chandra confirmed it too when he was tested again. He said that his dyslexia was at a minimum. Ram Prasad was overjoyed, but even though he had conquered one of the biggest challenges in his life, he still felt something was missing. So the good news for Ram Prasad was that with his own effort and also by taking tuitions and speech therapy, he was ultimately able to overcome his dyslexia. And when he was tested again, the report was almost negative in that way. So he was very overjoyed, but still he felt that he had not done enough. He had still something more to do, something more to give to society. The missing link was filled when he put on his blue uniform of the Red Cross for the first time and walked down the halls of the hospital as a volunteer, the same hospital where he had once sat nervous and confused. Because he felt so lucky to have had access to this facility that had helped him so much, he wanted to give back by being a volunteer. So, in what way did this Ram Prasad was very grateful to the hospital? Why? Because this hospital was the first place which had diagnosed him and which had told him about his problem, okay, his learning disability. And not only they had diagnosed, they had also provided every support. So after getting cured, he thought that his sense of gratitude told him that he should do something to repay, or rather he should do something so that he could help the hospital. And that was, he wanted to become a volunteer. And volunteer is a person who works in an organization without any money, means without being paid. Okay students, we stop here today. Thank you. We'll do the rest of it the next day. Thank you students.